Hello, I'm Kingsley, Lindsay's younger brother. Jennifer and I won't be able to attend the funeral of Lindsay because we'll be travelling interstate for the next 3 weeks. So I thought that I'd just share some reflections on my big brother's life as it impacted me. And that impact was basically as a young boy, because when we got into adulthood, both of us went our own ways to some extent. But his impact on my life was quite significant. And what I've got in my mind are snapshots, if you like, of Lindsay and how it affected me. I can remember, for instance, back in the summer of 1953, perhaps 54, in January, when Lindsay was getting fit, as he was very fit, to try and make the Footscray Football Club's senior list. He was very young, and he had the help of his father Ted, who of course was one of Footscray's champions. So the snapshot that I've got is, if you recall, at the bottom of the Footscray Park in Maribyrnong, down by Maribyrnong Road, on the western side of the Maribyrnong River, opposite the Flemington Racecourse, there was an area, a big area that we called the Flats, and there was football grounds with no sheds or anything like that. There was a dirt track you could drive your car along. And on this day, late in the afternoon, Lindsay and Ted, the father, were going down there for a run and decided to take me along. I wasn't allowed to go and jog with them, being only 9 years of age. And Lindsay and Ted set off. And in my mind's eye, what I can see in the distance, the sun is starting to make its descent into dusk. Ted and Lindsay, to me, are almost in silhouette as they jog off. Ted at 5'9", not a big man, not a tall man, but built like the proverbial outhouse. And Lindsay at 5'6" in the old measurements, bounding alongside him. Lindsay had this wonderful spring in his step when he ran, and I think it was almost the way of his personality, being such a vibrant, outgoing person. And off they went, jogging into the sun, and I felt this pang of envy, even at 9. It wasn't jealousy. I just was envious that they had such a great relationship together. And of course, Lindsay went on in 54 to make the Footscray list, and remember that was Footscray's premiership year. So he was part of the best of Footscray, and the best of the league, it turned out to be. And on that first game, he was selected. It was a great achievement for such a young person. And we went along to watch him, and at the bottom of every pack that was formed, Lindsay was there burrowing away trying to get the ball. Charlie Sutton was the coach. Lindsay didn't get on that well with him, but they kept him on the premiership squad for the whole year, and I think that was a great achievement to be with those elite players himself. In 55, Lindsay went and joined Ted at the Rye Football Club. Lindsay won the best and fairest at the Rye Football Club in 1955 and in 1956. And 56 was a very important year for the Ellises down there at Rye, because not only did he win the club's best and fairest, but Lindsay also won the league best and fairest. And Ted, at the age of 43, I think, somewhere 43, kicked 96 goals to lead the league in goal kicking. An amazing achievement. But I wonder how much Lindsay did to make that happen for him, because as a 11, 12-year-old, sitting at the bottom of the rail and post fence that went around the Rye football ground then, and watching my two heroes playing football, Lindsay would burst out of the centre with the ball looking for Ted, and he'd be calling pop, pop, pop to get Ted to move, to lead to him, and he'd hit him on the chest with the modern version of the lace-out pass. He was a terrific, cheeky, effervescent young footballer who was a great player for Rye, and he played in Rye's 1959 Premiership League game. So he was a terrific footballer, and a lot of my influences in sport came from watching Ted and Lindsay, my two heroes. In another way, Lindsay also contributed to something entirely different. As you probably know, we used to go down to Rye and camp on the foreshore, and I think it was probably the forerunner of glamping that Ted was trying to achieve. We had a large tent, and he would would put carpet down, and he would make these walls out of plasterboard and with wire netting, as though it was a replica of a small house, and that extended the tent out to the awning. So we went down there every year, and on this occasion Lindsay came down to visit, and I had some schoolmates that were camping at Rosebud. So Lindsay had this car. It was magnificent. It was, from my memory, it was a cream-coloured car. It was a convertible. It had white upholstery, and he offered to drive me down to Rosebud to meet my mates. And we did. And this wasn't a car really that you drove. This was a car that you cruised in. And so when we got to the campsite, I can recall that I was probably lolling back in the seat with my sunshades on, one hand over the side of the car, trying to do the Fonz swagger a bit. And Lindsay just cruised along until we found where my mates were. And it was wonderful for me because I went from being the hanger-on in the group to the coolest kid that there was. And it boosted my image enormously. So there was a lot of fun. And I can recall another time when Lindsay and Joan were building that wonderful house in East Keilor. And I was probably in my mid-teens then, and I was to go over on the Saturday and spend a day working with Lindsay as his labourer in building, doing whatever we were doing. I think it might have been bricklaying. And I worked really hard. It was a very hot day, and I did put in because I wanted to impress my hero, my big brother. And at the end of the day, and I'd gone into bed, I remember hearing Lindsay and Joan talking, and Lindsay said to Joan, well, he really worked hard. He made a big effort today. He did very, very well. And of course, inwardly, I was smiling in my bed because I'd now got approval and respect of my older brother. And it was a wonderful little occasion for me. Lindsay, I can't give you any instances of Lindsay giving me the great brotherly talk or anything like that. I was more interested in watching him as the influence that I could see, the role model that I wanted to follow. I can remember when we were living in Montmorency and sharing the bedroom out the back, and I thought Lindsay was a mechanical genius. I had a crystal set, and he set it up for me. The wire went out through the window, up onto the tree out the back, and it had the little bottle neck around it. I don't know how they work, but he connected it all up for me so that I could lay in bed at night and listen to the Australian Test cricket in England playing, so it must have been around 56 because that's when we first went to Montmorency to live. And it was a wonderful thing that he did for me because I think that started my true love of Test cricket. But he was a genius and I really appreciated everything that he did for me. And anything that I've achieved in life and in sport comes back from those influences of those two men and me wanting to follow in the footsteps of my hero, Big Brother. So that's all I wanted to share with you, and I want to thank you for taking on this. We'll all miss him. He was a great person and had a great impact on my life. Thank you very much for listening.